I started seeing results immediately. Like, this is stuff that can work right away. And hi there everyone, welcome to today's video where we are talking all about gentle parenting. What is gentle parenting? What isn't gentle parenting? And how to be a gentle parent to your kids. For those of you who don't know me, hey, I'm Connelly. Here on this channel we talk about all things parenthood, productivity, budgeting hacks, sometimes lifestyle, sometimes pregnancy. I recently had Azura 8 months ago. I can't believe it's already been 8 months. I say that every video, but time just flies by. So if that sounds like your kind of jam, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so that we can see you around for future videos. You won't miss valuable content like this, and because it really helps my channel out. So thank you so much to those of you who do. So with that, let's jump right into today's topic of our video, which is gentle parenting. So what is gentle parenting? What is it? Let me give you a little hint. There's no yelling, there's no timeouts, and there's definitely no hitting. Doesn't that sound nice? Doesn't that sound like a good way to be a parent? Well, I think so, and science agrees. Science proves that by employing these gentle parenting methods, you actually get better results, better behavior. And so that's something I'm all about. And so I mentioned before, I'm Connelly. I have 2 little ones. Azura is 8 months, who I already mentioned, and Evangelina is about 27 months. So we're in the toddler stage. I am by no means an expert. I would call myself an enthusiast of gentle parenting because that's really what I am. I've employed it myself. I've seen it work in my own family. I've seen other kinds of parenting not work in other families. So I am an aunt to 9 babies, well, 9 kids. My sister has 5 children and my brother have 4. So I definitely have been around kids for a long time. And like I said, I'm by no means an expert, but I have been following this like 2 Instagram accounts and read a really good book, and I'm going to link to all of them below. But I just want to call out Mr. Chaz on Instagram. His content is so valuable in terms of parenting, so I highly recommend checking him out and what he has to say. And also Big Little Feelings, we're talking a lot about their strategies that they talk about and the science behind them and why it works so much better than traditional types of parenting that so many of us grew up with in the 90s, early 2000s, and current 2000s probably. And, oh, you're probably not watching this if you're a kid yourself, but until recently, timeouts were thought to be the thing, the best thing since who knows when. And it was a strategy employed to help improve behavior without spanking, without hitting, which had been the more traditional route. We've learned since then that there's even better ways, or I shouldn't say we, I should say scientists have learned, researchers have learned that there's even better ways, and that timeouts don't always get the outcome you want. Like usually if you have put your kid in a timeout, you might notice they go in a timeout and then they come out and do the exact same behavior. Like, have you been in a timeout before as a kid? Like, what were you doing? Were you thinking about what you did and how to improve your behavior? Probably not. If you were like me, you were probably plotting your little revenge against your parents or whoever, what other kid got you put in timeout. So, like, if you're anything like me, or if your kids are anything like I was, then timeouts aren't going to be as effective. So we're talking about strategies that are more effective and how to, prevent tantrums, how to decrease the amount of time, but we don't necessarily want to stop a tantrum. So tantrums, I'm just gonna say tantrums because like tantrum is really a state of dysregulation, like where your child is, where a toddler is in a state of disarray. They're not regulated. They are freaking out about something, and like basically they're not going to be able to calm down like that. Like it's going to take a little bit of time, and you might have to help them, guide them back into being in a more regulated state. So it's all a normal part of brain development. You want tantrums to happen. Do we want them to happen in public? Do we want them to happen often? Do we want them to happen and be a long tantrum that we can't do anything about, where there's no solution? No. Our jobs are to, as parents, are to help prevent the tantrum, help decrease the amount of time that the tantrum takes place, and just to be there, be emotionally available for our children. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. And I'll just say, as I started learning about these, I started practicing and employing them in my own parenting with Evangelina. And I started seeing results immediately. Like, this is stuff that can work right away. And so I was practicing it, I was seeing the results, but I wasn't really sharing it with my husband on like what I was doing or how. And so he wasn't using gentle parenting. He was more of the traditional type of parenting, which is, you know, yelling, being kind of hard, like, stop crying, like, no, you don't get a popsicle, it's bedtime now, let's go up, you know. And like the results were just like crying, so like making the whole situation worse. And so what Big Little Feelings talks about is not bringing your chaos to their chaos. So they're already in a state of dysregulation, they're already having a problem. So you want to stay as calm as possible, be as confident, cool, and just collected as you can be. And that's partially because you're modeling the behavior you want out of your child. If you're yelling, if you're throwing things, your child's going to yell and throw things too. Like, what do you expect? When I stay calm, when I am there for Evangelina during her tantrums, when I give her choices on yeses, some of the things I'm going to talk about shortly, the results are so much better. The tantrums are so much longer. When I prep her, when I say, okay, when I like communicate, we're going to leave in 5 minutes versus saying, all right, time to go, things just go so much better. And transitions are hard for every person, adults, kids, babies. Transitions are just difficult. And especially for toddlers who have no control of anything. They're always being told what to do. They don't know the plan. They don't know. On Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we go to school. On Tuesday, Thursday, we're home with mom, or like whatever it is. They don't know. Like, you have to really communicate and tell the plan. So that's one of the things I'm going to talk about right now, which is like prepping your kids. So prep them. This is going to help prevent the tantrums. So we're going to talk about prevention methods now. Preventing tantrums is so crucial. So if you can do things to help prepare your child for what's about to happen. Okay, in 5 minutes, we're gonna leave the park. Do you wanna go down the slide again? Or do you wanna go on the swings before we leave? You know, help them know. And another trick that Big Little Feelings talks about is putting a timer on your phone, having the toddler hit the timer, say, okay, in 5 minutes, we need to start dinner and you're gonna have to pick up your blocks and stop playing. Do you wanna hit the timer or should I? Here, you hit the timer. They like hitting buttons, you know. Then they're a part of it. Then they're planning. Then they know what to expect. After you do it a few times, they know how long 5 minutes is. So that's a really good way to prevent the tantrum. Another way, of course, we all know this, is to kind of stick to your nap schedule. Is your toddler having tantrums because their body's just so tired and they're overtired and they're exhausted and like that's how they're communicating it to you? Are they hungry? Are they freaking out because they're hungry and tired? You know, like I was the worst. I was a person who was like, why can't you bring your child and have them nap at brunch while we're there? Or like, you can't miss one nap. Like, I was the worst. I just didn't know any better until I had kids. And it's like, no, you do everything to stay on that nap schedule and not interrupt it, because if you do, it's gonna be horrible for everyone involved. So try to stick to your schedule. Another way to prep your child is to practice with them. So prepare your toddler by, okay, if you're going to the doctor, maybe get a little doctor's kit with a little needle syringe, you know, a plastic or wooden little needle syringe, and say, okay, you're gonna get a shot next week when you go to the doctor. It's gonna hurt for just a minute. I'll be right there with you. I'm sorry it's gonna hurt. Here's what it's gonna look like. Doop, doop, doop. Ouch. All better, you know, like you can kind of practice with them. Physically show them. There's TV shows you can watch, like Daniel Tiger, that have the what to expect when you go to the doctor episode on Amazon Prime. I'll try to link to that if I remember. But like those kinds of things to help prep and prepare your child so they can physically see. And physical play is so important to them. They're visual, they're mental, so they've got to like experience it, touch it, feel it, go through it so that they know what to expect and then they don't freak out. It will help your child so much when you get to the doctor or dentist or grandma's house or go on the airplane, practicing with masks before you go. I mean, it's just a game changer to help, instead of just like put it on and then everything's new, everything's different. You're in an airplane and all of a sudden you're throwing a mask on your kid. They're like, it's a recipe for disaster. So the more you can prepare, the better, basically. Another way to help prevent tantrums is by giving the toddler choices. So much of their day and their lives are out of their control. They are being told what we do, when we do it, how long, this and that, what they wear. So any opportunity you have to give them a choice is a great idea. So maybe you give them 2 options of what they want to wear that day. Do you want to wear the white shirt or the yellow shirt? Do you want fuzzy socks or regular socks? I don't know. That's just one way that they can gain control and feel in control and don't have to necessarily have a meltdown to kind of figure out what their free will, what they like want as children. As a person, it's better if they can kind of pick stuff that doesn't matter. Along those lines, gentle parenting talks about, and Big Little Feelings especially, it talks about struggles at the table, struggles with picky eating, struggles with eating in general. And one thing that they say, and by the way, I keep bringing them up, they are such a great Instagram account. You should follow them. You should follow Mr. Chaz. It's just, I should definitely not be your only resource because I'm not perfect at this. I've probably botching some of the verbiage we want to use. So definitely check them out. And they also have a whole digital course you can buy if you're like me and like to watch videos instead of reading sometimes. Like if you want something on in the background, if you have to be multitasking, it's a great option. But they talk about giving the toddler choice. So you decide, as the parent, you decide what is for dinner, and then the child decides what they eat and how they put it in their body. So you're not like sitting there with a spoon force feeding them, or like saying you have to eat this much before you can leave the table. You put it in front of them and then play it cool is what they say. So you put the broccoli next to the orange, next to the cookie, next to the protein, and you walk away, or you all sit down and you all eat. And if the toddler doesn't want to eat anything, you don't say, you know, you can't leave the table until you eat. You say, okay, well, this is what we're having, so you can try again at lunchtime, or you can try again at dinner, or you'll have breakfast tomorrow morning, or like whatever it is, whatever that next meal is, or snack time. But yeah, they also mention putting a safe food on the plate so that if your child, you know that they like something, it's better to put that, like at least one thing that you know they like on their plate. Otherwise they'll just like reject the whole thing, push it off the high chair, push it off the table. So at least if they can like pick out one thing they like, maybe they'll be open to eating the other things on their plate. So that's like a little trick. And if you guys are interested in more food tips with toddlers, more food battles, picky eating, preventing that sort of thing, let me know in the comments below and I will definitely do a follow-up video on that if that's something you guys are interested in. So another way to prevent tantrums is to give your child your solid full attention for a certain amount of time every day, once or twice or 3 times a day. And if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're probably like, what are you talking? I have to do so many things. I can barely get it done. Nap time only lasts this long. Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, it helps so much. If you can give your kids 15 minutes a day, just one-on-one. So if you have 2 kids, like 15 minutes for one, 15 minutes for the other, where you're on the floor playing exactly what they want to do, no other kids involved. They get to choose. It's eye contact, it's playing, it's learning, it's touch, it's whatever they want to do. It's reading, you know, it's like giving them the attention so that they're not always fighting you for it and they don't feel like they have to fight for it or act out or have a tantrum in order, because if once you're cooking and they're pulling on your leg, or they're throwing milk across the room, or they're dropping pasta sauce on the floor in a glass container and it goes everywhere, you have to stop what you're doing and deal with that, and they're getting attention. Even though it's negative attention, they still like it. So if you can give them that positive attention for 15 minutes a day, it will really help them feel seen, feel validated, and just make things go a little bit smoother. So now, all of that being said, you can do everything possible to prevent a tantrum and there will still be tantrums, okay? Like, that's just the nature of the game. By the way, I should have said this earlier, I am not a perfect parent by any means. Like, I still, you know, lose my mind once in a while. I still lose my cool. I still have moments, and I'm human, I'm allowed to. So like, your children are allowed to too. So once your child is having a tantrum or a meltdown or whatever you want to call it, big feelings is what the Big Little Feelings Instagram account calls it. Once they're having big feelings, once they're dysregulated, once they're in tantrum meltdown mode, what do you do to decrease the amount of time? Well, there is a script. There's a script. Memorize this, okay? So first, you acknowledge the feeling. You're feeling upset. You're feeling sad. You're feeling mad that you can't have another cookie. you're feeling frustrated that Sarah took the ball. You want to play with the ball. You say what the feeling is. So this helps the toddler recognize their emotion, that they're going through emotions, and eventually down the road should help them be able to regulate themselves better. Then you okay the feeling. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel upset. If you don't even know what they're upset about, you can just say upset, or you don't know like the feeling, you can say upset, you can say you're having big feelings right now. It's okay to have big feelings. You okay the feeling so that they know it's okay to feel like that. Even adults get angry, even adults get sad. It's okay to feel that way. And then you hold your boundary. So you come in and say, you're feeling upset. It's okay to feel upset, but we don't hit when we're upset. Or, it's not time for cookies right now. We're about to have lunch. So you hold the boundary and then you shift to the yes. So you employ a yes. You try to give the toddler a choice of what they want to do next. So it's time to go home. So you're feeling frustrated, we have to go home. It's okay to be frustrated, but we need to get ready for bed. So we're gonna head home. Would you like me to carry you, or would you like to walk? A yes, they get to say yes to something. They get to choose, they get to have control over something. That helps. Does that always work? Nope. And my child isn't super verbal, and if your children aren't verbal, they can still kind of choose one and go like up if they want to be carried or whatever. Ava's not super verbal yet, so even if you're saying, okay, my kid isn't old enough to understand, they might understand more than you think they do. So definitely try these things, practice it, employ it, see how it goes. Like the earlier you start, the better, because the wheels are turning in there, and you want to set these, establish these boundaries earlier, because your kids are going to kick and scream. They are going to have tantrums. They are testing their own free will to see what they want, and they're testing your boundaries. So if they kick and scream and you say, fine, we can stay 5 more minutes, again, another 5, but then we're leaving, it just keeps going 5. They know if they kick and scream and have that tantrum, that your boundary's going to move. Do you want your boundary to move? No. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get through the tantrum today, so that later on, the tantrums decrease in time. You will be so much happier with the results of the behavior by employing these. So it's like short-term frustration, short-term tantrum for long-term gain, short-term loss, long-term gain, so to speak. Trust me on this one, it's going to help in the long term, even if it feels like my husband was like, you're allowing her to act like this. It's like, no. We're employing these strategies, holding the boundary, and he kind of felt like I was babying her, oh, it's okay to feel frustrated, but we don't hit. And then she kind of hits again, swats at me again. It's like, oh, I see you're not able to not hit right now. I'm going to move you so that we all stay safe. If it doesn't work, you then swoop in with whatever boundary and calmly, confidently move on. If it's leaving the park and they won't leave and they're screaming, you just, oh, I see you're not able to leave right now. I'm going to help you get to the car. I'm going to pick you up and bring you to the car. You're talking through what you're doing and why you're doing it. And that kind of helps with the dysregulation. Again, sometimes they have to come back down to earth, get re-regulated, and they have to do that themselves. And you just have to kind of get through the tantrum. But the more they test and the more they see your boundary isn't moving, the better it is for you, the better it is for them in the long term. Would you possibly get quicker results if you hit your kid? Maybe. Do you want to hit your kid? Probably not. Do you remember being hit? How'd that make you feel? Pretty sad. Did you trust your parent? Were you afraid of them? You probably didn't trust them, and you were probably afraid of them. Even threatening to hit, or threatening to put them in a timeout or whatever, is using violence to control. Maybe not the timeout one, but even if you're just threatening to hit, do you want a spanking? Is using violence to control another human. And that's not good. That's not what we want. We want our children to come to us when they're in a state of dysregulation. We want our children to come to us knowing that we are emotionally stable. We want to be emotionally available for them, so that when they're having those moments, they know there's someone there for them. And that's why you sit there and you okay the feeling, you're there for them, and if they want to come to you, they can. If they don't have to, but that's kind of the science behind it. And here's a little secret I'm going to let you in on. This script works great on adults too. With my husband, it works great. At work, in my other friendship relationships, like it works so well for all adults. And that's part of gentle parenting, is treating the child as a full human. Like, you're kind of treating them how you want to be treated in a way. So an example of this is with my husband. He just got into baking. He's a huge fan of the Great British Baking Show. For years he has been, and finally he decided to start baking himself, and he's doing very complicated bakes, like as a super beginner. So he's watched the show, he knows kind of how to do it, but he's never actually physically done it. So he has to learn a lot. There's a big learning curve there. And he got so frustrated. We were short on time. He's trying to get this bake done, and he messed it up. He did one step incorrectly or something, but it messed up the whole thing. And he was so mad, and he threw it away, and he's like, we don't have time. Blah, blah, blah. And like in my mind, I was like, this isn't a big deal. Like, if we don't have dessert, it's not a big deal. Who cares? Or like, if you want to make something easy, we have cake mix in the pantry. Like, do you just want to go put a cake in the oven? Like, we're baking for like children. They don't care. But to him, he'd had a long day. It was so frustrating that he had worked so hard, wasted ingredients now, and then had to throw away what he was working on and start over. And I could have said like, who cares? Like, no big deal. And like, how do you think that would have made him feel? Probably even more upset that I wasn't listening, that I wasn't there for him, that his feelings weren't valid. So instead I was like, oh man, that's so frustrating. I'm sorry that happened to you. Is there anything I can do to help? No, you're going to start over? Okay. Well, let me know if I can help. And he was able to move on so much quicker. He was like, it is frustrating. I'm going to start over. In that moment, it helped him move on so much faster than if I would have been like, this isn't a big deal. I would have opened up opportunity for like an argument about why it's a big deal, or like blow up other things. So yeah, I've seen it work in my relationships outside of my relationship with my toddler. Okay, so what are some things we don't want to say or do when we're gentle parenting? So one thing we don't want to say, and I remember this as a kid and being like, one thing we don't want to say is, all right, it's time to go. I'm leaving without you if you don't come. Like, that seems a little aggressive, doesn't it? To leave your child at home or tell them you're leaving your child at home. That you don't want to make them feel panicked and freaking out. And how sad would that make you feel if like your mom would say she's going to leave without you? Like, probably pretty sad, you know? So that's one thing you don't want to say. A better thing to say is, come on, I'm going down the stairs. You coming? Like, and they'll always want to come, basically. They want to be with you. We're going to the store now. Time to go. Are you coming? That's a better way to say it than I'm leaving without you. Maybe this goes without saying, maybe it doesn't, but another thing we don't say when gentle parenting is stop crying. Don't cry. All feelings are valid. If they're crying, if they're freaking out, if they're having a tantrum, everyone goes through emotions throughout the days, even adults. Throughout the day, rather. And so like, why can't your toddler? Your toddler's definitely allowed. They're just like a tiny version of you without the experience, without any control in their lives, basically. So they're allowed to feel the full spectrum of emotions, and they're going to let you know. They're going to show you. So a lot of that might come out in crying or tantrums or big feelings, or we try to be there with that script. You just really don't want to make the child feel abandoned. You want to be there for them. And yeah, that's basically all there is to it. Next, we don't say good girl or bad girl or anything like that, because saying good girl implies that there are bad girls or bad kids, and there are no bad kids, okay? There's behaviors we don't like, but there's not bad kids. We also try not to say that's for big kids. When you're a big kid, you can do that. When you're older, you can try that, because that implies that their current age, their current level, their current place where they are isn't good enough, and not to appreciate, not to have fun, not to learn and explore in their current state, but to always be looking forward to the future. And like, we don't want to teach kids to be like that either. Another thing you don't want to say is that hurts mommy's feelings when you do that. That implies that it is Evangelina's responsibility to make me feel happy, and that's not the case. We definitely don't want to we don't want to build up little toddlers who are people pleasers. We want them to feel responsible for their own feelings, but not the feelings of others. So that's another phrase we avoid, is saying, that really hurts mommy's feelings, or that really hurts Tucker's feelings when you throw the ball at him. You know, like, avoid that. And finally, something I think is so important about gentle parenting and helping you stay cool is just setting expectations. You can plan for the day, you can plan that cute outfit for the holiday, you can plan the event, you can plan the photo, and just know that everything could go awry. Like, that's just part of it. One of my kids, without fail, anytime we have something big planned, they can like feel the energy or something is a little off and they won't sleep. And it ruins the afternoon. It just ruins it because they're in a terrible mood. They won't take the picture. They're acting out in front of family or whatever we have going on that day, the event. And it's so frustrating. But until I just realized she knows the energy's off, I should expect for this holiday to go a little berserk, a little chaotic with her. I can prepare myself. I can stay calm. I can only control myself, you know, like you cannot control the child's behavior. You just kind of can help them through the tantrum, be there for them, and hope it goes better next time. But yeah, like setting your own expectations is a part of gentle parenting. And sometimes if you didn't grow up in a gentle parenting type of a household, like I definitely didn't, you have to kind of parent yourself. You have to say, oh, I am feeling so frustrated right now. This is like really embarrassing me. And it's okay to feel frustrated and embarrassed. I'm gonna take a deep breath. I'm gonna try not to yell. I'm gonna try not to lose my cool. I'm gonna go get the baby now. Or I'm gonna go swoop in and we have to leave the park. Like, this isn't working, you know? Or I have the cutest matching Halloween costumes. They won't take a picture in. They wanna wear their Cinderella outfit and I had 101 Dalmatians planned. Whatever, it's fine. Like, let's just move on. I feel like gentle parenting is a lot, for me at least, recognizing my own feelings, okaying my feelings, and kind of mourning the loss of the picture we could have had at Halloween with their matching outfits that we'll never get again at that age, you know, and just kind of going with it. Like, I used to get so frazzled and frustrated when things didn't go that way, and now I'm like, nah, she's a kid. Whatever, let's move on, let's not stress about it. And it's such a better way to parent. And so you really might have to break some generational patterns of hitting, yelling, always putting in timeouts. And that's just part of gentle parenting. It's like parenting yourself, learning how to deal with your big feelings and not bringing your chaos to the child's chaos, because that just builds a big snowball of chaos and it doesn't help. It makes it way worse, and your results long term won't be as good. You won't have as good of behavior. With that, I hope this helped you. If you learned anything, please hit that like button. Please subscribe, and I would love to hear your thoughts. What has helped you become a better parent? What has helped you in gentle parenting? Comment below, and hopefully this can be a place for people to share what's worked and what hasn't worked for them, so that we can all kind of learn and grow from each other. So with that, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!